as always, I don't want to hear that the Bengals are cheap or the front office is cheap because look what's happening in Detroit. So Frank Ragnow claims he had to return part of his signing bonus after retiring early, continuing a franchise policy that dates back to Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, per President Rod Wood via Dave whatever. And obviously now with the Frank Ragnow situation, same kind of concept when it comes to him having to give back his signing bonus. Now, at the end of the day, does it suck when a player signs a 4-year deal and retires after 2 years? Yes. Geno Atkins did that. Geno Atkins signed a 4-year contract when he hit 30 years old, and he only played for 2 years, and then he retired. Does it suck? It does suck when a player does that. Because once they retire, their contract is locked up, and it becomes now like, hey, if you only were going to play for 2 years, man, why don't you just tell us and work out a contract for 2 years? Big issue is when you sign a player for 4 years instead of 2 years, you're going to most likely give them more signing bonus and more upfront money. The contract's going to be more guaranteed, so you're going to get a check the second you sign a contract. In theory, this does make sense that you give back the money if you don't play or honor the contract. But at the same time, the problem is these are multi-billion-dollar teams. And to have to be like, yep, nope, give us back the $20,000 that we gave you is kind of ridiculous. We saw with the Colts, Jim Irsay, when Andrew Luck retired, to honor Andrew Luck, Jim Irsay gave him $25 million check. He paid out the rest of his contract and said, hey, you want to retire? What you did for us is so amazing. Here's $25 million. We'll pay you out the rest of your contract to honor you for what you did for us, right? It's a nice gesture. This has happened across the league from a lot of different teams. When a player retires, maybe they don't get paid out, but it's kind of like, okay, keep the signing bonus. It is what it is at the end of the day. Usually the signing bonus comes out of the, owner's pocket. They put the money in escrow. They give the money to the person. Well, guaranteed money is the money that gets put in escrow. The signing bonus is a check that said, hey, here you go. Here's the money. Again, is in the concept of you're agreeing to a deal, agreeing to a contract, and not honoring the contract. I do understand the concept of giving the money back. But when there's a multi-billion-dollar industry and companies, I feel like this is kind of being petty to be petty. You don't need to have to give the money back. So as it says here, our precedent goes all the way back to Barry Sanders, and I think the reality is they're not paying back their money. They're returning our money because they were paid in advance for services that have not been completed. Which, again, I'm very torn. I'm torn on this. I'm very torn because I see it as, like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. Like, and again, Frank Ragnow, if you know anything with the Lions, he has been through pretty much war with that team when it comes to, like, all the stuff he has done for that team. This is not a guy who is like a Jermaine Burton, who's a troublemaker guy. This is a guy who will go through the thick and thin for his team. That will take, like, bullets at this point for his team. Like, he'll do anything he can to help out his team. And, he's a very loyal player to the Detroit Lions. So it's also that factor too. It's not like we have a Jermaine Burton situation where it's like, oh, come on, like, this guy's a tool bag. Who cares? Like, this is a guy who actually truly does care about the team and does everything right. He did retire early, and it is what it is. He did try to come back, I believe, last year, and it did not work out. But I don't know. It's one of those situations. Whereas, like, I see it that point of view, right? And then I see the point of view like, well, this is a business, and you signed a contract. You didn't honor your contract. You have to give the money back because you didn't pay for you didn't do the services that someone paid you for. If I pay you to cut my lawn, and you cut only 1/3 of it, and then you stop and you say I can't cut anymore, then I don't pay you the full price of cutting my lawn because you only cut 1/3 of it. but there is a level of like, as in that context, I'm not a multi-billion-dollar person being like, oh yeah, you know, out of like, I don't know, like $50 saying, oh, I'm not going to pay you the rest of the $50 because you didn't cut the lawn. It's like, you kind of, you know, I don't know. It is an interesting perspective. I'll say it like that. I don't really think they need to pay back the money. I really don't think so. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I think that's more just a precedent more than actually something that needs to like happen. This happens all the time in business and all the time in football. You set a precedent so other players don't start doing it, right? Last thing you want, and the last thing the Lions want here, is players who sign a contract and then just retire after like a year or two. And if you let this go, you're going to have that precedent happen with other players. You know, you want to avoid this type of situation from happening again with somebody else. So you try to make sure, you know, it's pretty clear cut, you know, cutthroat here. If you do this, you're not going to get the money. If you decide that you're going to retire after 2 years, you are giving the money back. And that's kind of just like, you know, understood. It's a precedent set for everyone to follow, so everybody understands, like, this is just how it works, how it is. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm torn because I understand both point of views. Like, I understand the business point of view there. It's like, okay, well, if this is a precedent set, this isn't like, I keep saying that wording correctly. This isn't like an indicative thing for just Frank Ragnow. It isn't like this is something where it's like, oh, only Frank has to pay the money back. If anyone else retires, nope, doesn't matter. It's just Frank. That's not the case. Calvin Johnson had a beef with this team for so long because of this exact same reason, right? So it's the same concept where it's like, okay, you know, we told you in advance this is how it works. You didn't follow the policy. You now have to give the money back. I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm torn on this because I see both sides. Pat McAfee talked about it. His point of view was just that this is ridiculous. You shouldn't have to give the money back, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I respect that. Again, like I said, I kind of look at it from both sides. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'm very torn on this subject because, yeah, I mean, you signed a contract. You didn't honor the contract. But at the same time, this is a multi-billion-dollar team. And it's like, hey, at some point, you got to be like, what are we doing? Like, are we really going to, you know, kind of, I guess, in a way, just look like cheapsteaks just to look like cheapsteaks? But the Lions' point of view is, hey, we've always done this. This is not something brand new. This is not something, you know, crazy. This is something that has been a precedent since Barry Sanders, which is a long time ago. Shout out to the members of the channel as always. Let's go ahead and become a member down below, join icon. You get custom emotes, custom badges added to all my videos in the descriptions down below. I know this video was kind of all over the place, but I'm very, again, like I said, I'm very torn on the subject because I just look at it from both sides. But see you guys next one, though. Peace.